Hola clase, esta noche vamos a hablar del imperfecto. Primero vamos a repasar. We're first going to review a little bit. You have learned the preterite, which expresses completed past actions. Just as a little reminder, here are your AR preterite verbs and your ER/IR preterite verbs. Take a moment just to pause this video and write them down in your notes. A second tense, the imperfect tense, el imperfecto, also refers to the past, but without indicating specifically when the event or condition begins or ends. We're going to talk more about the imperfect and when you use that versus the preterite pretty soon. But if you can learn them separately, like that preterite is a completed action, for instance, the phone rang, versus imperfect, which is when we don't know when it specifically started or ended, like the phone was ringing, or something habitual that used to happen, like the phone used to ring. If you can start to understand those differences now, it's going to make it so much easier when we start to look at the differences within context. So again, what's the imperfect? It's another past tense, but it says when something used to happen. For instance, she used to go to the park versus some completed action like she went to the park, which would be the preterite tense. Now we're going to talk about conjugating. It is very simple. This is probably one of the easiest conjugations you will learn in Spanish 2 or Spanish 3 for that matter. You form the imperfect tense of infinitive verbs, unconjugated verbs, by dropping the AR, ER, IR ending from the infinitive, and by adding the endings for imperfect below in the chart. All verbs in Spanish follow this formula except for the three irregulars, which are ir, ser, and ver. There are only three irregulars versus all of the different present tense irregulars, all the preterite. There are so many, and there's only three irregulars for the imperfect. Here are the endings for AR verbs. Okay, so yo hablaba, for instance. I was talking or I used to talk. Tú hablabas. Él, ella, usted hablaba. Notice that the yo form and the él, ella form, él, ella, usted, are both the same. So you'll either need to use context clues that, yes, I'm talking about myself, or you'll need to include the yo or the person's name or él, ella, or usted. Nosotros habamos, it's the only one with the accent, it's on the first A, so basically you counted back 3 vowels to find your accent. Habáis and ellos, ellas, ustedes hablaban. ER and IR are both the same. They are ia, so comía, comías, comía. Once again, notice the yo form and the L form are exactly the same, so you'll either need to use context clues or use pronouns or their names. Íamos, íais, and ian. An easy way to kind of remember this is they all have ia in it. Then for tú you add the S, for nosotros you add the mos, vosotros you add the is, and finally for ellos you have the N. But they all have the ia in there. Okay, so let's look at some ejemplos. Okay, número uno. Again, this is saying that you were doing something. So the imperfect tense is used to describe an ongoing past action. An ongoing past action. A repeated, also known as habitual, past action. Or a long-standing situation. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of that. So I was talking with Pedro when, okay? Hablaba, I was talking. So we don't know when that started and ended. Versus in the preterite where it'd be yo hablé, mean I spoke to Pedro. That had a completed beginning and end. We know it ended. Okay? The habitual means used to. So, número dos, comíamos juntos todos los días means we used to eat together every day. If I use preterite there, comimos juntos, I couldn't say every day because that implies that it was a habitual action. But comimos means we ate together. It was a completed action, not we used to, not we were eating, completed. And finally, this is an example of the long-standing situation. We used to live in San Salvador. There's no start and end. It doesn't say for 3 days, for 6 months, for 10 years. If it said that, then it'd be vivimos. That's the preterite. So this is going to be vivíamos, which is the imperfect. So it's a long-standing situation. Let's talk about había. The impersonal expression había is the imperfect tense of haber, to have, as in to have done something, not tener, to have. And is the imperfect of, or past tense of, there was or there were. I. Okay, because remember, hay means there is or there are. So this is just the imperfect form of I. Había is only going to be used in the el form, había form, just like I in the present tense. So you're never going to see habían with there is or there were. Por ejemplo, había mucha gente en el parque de atracciones. There were many people at the amusement park. Okay? Y aquí hay un parque acuático muy famoso, muy popular en Barcelona. Okay, clase, that's it for tonight. Adios.